transportation incoming.
All right, I think we're getting there. What's up, everybody? What's up, Sviplet? Thanks so much for the 19 months. And those who haven't started, indeed. Waldo, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I actually need to do... What do I need to do? I need to go into my files, and I need to take the current CyberSyn and copy it, and then paste it out here, and then I need to go into here and update CyberSyn. What's this? Oh. Sections not being darkened to indicate... Oh. I see. A working logistic group editor. Oh. Cool. What's up, Dave? 42 months. Congratulations. You have made it to the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Spoilage scanner got an update. Whoa. Interesting. Alright, well, for now we're just updating this. You just unlocked caravans in your world. Is it better to make a bunch of caravans for little trips or make a few caravans with tons of trips all in one schedule? It really depends. I mean, is there a right answer to anything? I don't know. I didn't use caravans a ton, and when I started using them, they were just in the middle of getting all those updates that they got. So like they didn't have interrupts when I first started using them, and now they have interrupts. So with interrupts, you may be able to get by with just a few caravans. Doing smart things with interrupts. Previously, without the interrupts, you wanted to have more caravans because they would use up food for every action that they did. And now they don't use up food if they don't actually transfer items, and they also won't use up food if they're just skipping things because of interrupts. So I think you could get by with way fewer caravans now if you utilize all of that nonsense. But you could also just have more caravans and not use interrupts at all, and that's still fine. What's up, Solid Gold? Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes for people to get here, and then we'll probably start recording. We are going to dive straight into the train test. That's what we're going to do first, and then we'll kind of go back to actually playing the game, because this is going to be a completely separate task where we're not really progressing the main base in any way. We're actually going to like reload the save, so we're literally not even going to progress time forwards. I guess though I should probably set up for that first. So yeah, why don't we save the game here and say pre-break test. What up, Andam? Edgarl, welcome. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna change the queued up science to be chemical sciences, just so that we're spending science. And then I'm also going to paste some very expensive buildings, which the most expensive building I can think of that we can afford is these guys. So I'm gonna paste, I don't know, 6 of them. And then I'm going to paste a bunch of these. Literally doesn't matter where. And then I'm going to find my auto mall, and I'm going to build I don't know how to pronounce my username either. I'm gonna build, or not build, but remove a bunch of tier 2 construction bots. And this should make my base very hungry for materials. And that should help with the train traffic test. So I'm gonna grab all 150 of these. So between all of that, I imagine we should be good to go. I'm now gonna give it like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and then we'll save the game and we'll start the test. I'll have to reload the game because we still have the old mod right now. Still building the unlimited formic thingy. Yeah, I'm still not sure if I regret, do I regret my choice for Vraux? I don't know. My choice for Vraux seems fine in retrospect, but the formic one is pretty good. I just don't know if it's super necessary because now I get pretty much free formic acid at this stage of the game. So it's like, I think it would have been very helpful for a while, but I think we're past the point where it's really that necessary. Because now I have, where's my rubber build? I can never find it anymore. Gosh, it's up here. Because yeah, now we have basically formic acid, because sulfuric's basically free because of the choice we made of Fawoji. So that's a thing. So sulfuric's not that expensive. And then on top of that, we get productivity. And then on top of that, carbon dioxide's basically free, and this doesn't even cost methanol. So it's just ammonia. and we get a lot of ammonia now from the acetone syngas situation. So, yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem super necessary. I did add train saver. We could save some trains. What was my hotkey? Control O, maybe? Oh gosh, what just happened? What is going on with the pYanodon's recipe selector? It's doing some weird things. So we can just appreciate. Seems you need to nerf some recipes. I don't think so, because it still is a lot. Like the Wohler synthesis, even at this stage of the game, would be a good way to get formic acid. I just think by the time you get to late chem side, that the other way to make formic acid is just a lot less taxing on your base. Because early on, ammonia is such a huge issue, and it's just less of an issue at this point. If anything, Wohler synthesis is still very strong. It just maybe is the other Vrauk options that need a slight buff to compete with it too. Or the third option, the no water barrels one, seems like crap. I think in most cases it's fine for things to not be balanced in the sense of like strength, but I do think it's an issue if one of them is so much better than the other ones that it's kind of like you're not really allowed to take the other ones. And then I also think it's an issue if any of them are so bad, and bad is maybe not the right word, because technically it's good. It's literally a choice that you would prefer to pick over nothing. So it's still a net positive. But in those cases, it's like, what is it actually doing for you? And the amount that it's doing for you is so little that it's not competitive with options that actually, you know, help your base in the late game. So those choices are kind of like, what's the point of that choice? But otherwise, I'm trying to think of the other thing I was going to say. There's one other main thought with the... Oh, yeah, I'm fine with some of them being limited in the scope of how long they're useful, right? Like, some of the turd choice stuff is all about like, hey, this is really good for now, and it gets a little bit less good later, or it might even be useless later, but it's really good for now. And I'm fine with turds being like that, because that provides an interesting choice. Like, do I invest into now and pick this turd now and make my life easy, or do I invest into later and wait to pick that other turd that gets really strong once I start using the third tier of recipe, but it doesn't really do anything until then? I'm fine with that, but I also don't love when the turd options feel like they're unrelated to the buildings they're on. A couple of them are like that, and there's also a couple that have downsides that seem too large. Like, there was one that I looked at and I'm like, I actually think that might be a negative in most bases, like an actual net negative. I forget what it was, otherwise I would highlight it. But there was one that I was like, how could you ever want this turd? It's just rough. You know, and again, it's hard because like you're dealing with all Factorio players who play very differently. And so there are turd choices that I think are terrible, but like somebody out there, okay, I should probably pre-break test 2. There's somebody out there that would find it useful. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's where do you draw the line in terms of like, is this an okay turd choice? I think you probably want more players than not, which maybe is 50%, maybe 70%, to at least be able to conceptualize how it could be useful for them. If less than half of your players can even imagine ever picking that turd, it might not be a great turd choice. You know, and I'd say I've probably, you know, and I'm not every player, but like if I imagine I represent some Venn diagram where at least like a third of my opinions are shared by a reasonable number of people, if I've found maybe 10 turd choices by now where I'm like, I could never envision picking that one over these other two. I could maybe envision picking one of these two, but I could never envision picking this third. I've probably seen like 10 of those by now. Maybe, I don't know, I'd have to look. And that means that there's probably 3 or 4 of those that like most people could never envision picking it. I'm fine if like that's just a me thing, but most other people are like, yeah, I could see using that. You know, but there's probably quite a few too still that just need to be changed. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's exit because I need to reload my Factorio. So I will, let's see. You guys are just gonna have to deal with the blank screen for a second. Have fun with that. So I need to exit and then I need to go into, actually wait, I screwed that up. We're gonna have to restart the game. Then we're gonna have to install the fresh CyberSyn. Updated CyberSyn. Wait, I already installed the updated CyberSyn. Or did I? Guys, did I do that? I literally can't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. Don't go making more bug reports for me today. Well, you should leave the stream then. That's that's all I do. Hey, preschool, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I honestly, this is the longest. I think I'm safe to say this is the longest I've ever done one save of anything ever. Like, I don't think I ever reached, you know, what am I at, 18 days played or whatever on even a World of Warcraft character or anything. I don't think I've ever had one save of any video game of all time that's ever gone this long. So in that, I'm actually quite proud of this save. I think I already updated CyberSyn, didn't I? Where even is it? Oh, it's Project CyberSyn. That always throws me off. Yeah, I literally already updated it. Okay, so now I literally can just go in. So this is now our test. So we're continuing Pi Season 3 pre-break test 2. MMOs, I think, do count as saves. Like, how long did you play one character? I think kind of hits the same reasoning for me. Okay, so now we can go into the CyberSyn manager. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I have to enable mod settings. Because it's disabled by default. Oh, I assumed it would be a startup setting. It might not be. All right. There it is. Enable analytics. Oh, Factorio charts, crap. Yeah, I didn't do that. And I guess you don't want that to be a requirement for CyberSyn because it's an optional setting. Yeah. That makes sense. I'm guessing it is an optional dependency though, if I can find it through clicking on this and then Factorio charts. Yeah, there it is. Boom, boom. I don't want to find it in this list. Boom. Conform. PZ instead of PY? Z is so far from Y on the keyboard. How does that happen? Oh, maybe you have a different, do you use a different keyboard layout? I don't know what Dvorak looks like, but maybe you're a Dvorak person. But yeah, Dota, I did play a lot of Dota, but that doesn't count as one save. I do think I had 700 hours in Dota when I finally gave up the ghost on that one. Which is still less than so many people. Okay, so we are continuing this save. And then we're gonna look at the time. Z and Y are switched on American and German keyboards. Oh my god, well that explains it. Found the German in the room. Playtime is 32:07. So we're gonna look at 4:30 to 17 is where we're gonna kind of stop this madness. And how do I get to these beautiful charts? Oh, I guess I now have to. Oh, okay, hold on. So let's go to mod settings. We'll enable the analytics. And then I'll start a new save. Okay. So 1728. All right. What's up, John? Welcome, welcome. So now I should be able to see beautiful charts. Yes. Yes. It begins. Oh, I'm so excited for this. We're just gonna be looking at charts for the next 20 minutes. You even use a US layout keyboard? Then how did you hit a Z instead of Y? Was it like a brain thing? Like, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm genuinely curious, because like, I do weird things all the time that people would ask me, like, how did that happen? So I just get curious about things. Okay, so utilization, I assume is, you know, how many trains we're utilizing of that type. I feel like we need to, hold on, I want to change, let's go back to this pre-break test too. This is the one where I already enabled the analytics, but I want to add, so we're still making more of those. What else is expensive? Like, I need to do a couple more things. So like maybe red circuits. Surely those are already flowing though with the buildings I'm building, right? Yeah, I mean, those are already running. What else did I do recently that required stuff to run? Nuclear reactors. I don't want it to be more buildings. I just want to like increase a buffer somewhere so that like more builds are running. And I want like a build that uses a decent amount of, you know what? Yeah, science isn't actually running right now. So why don't we just increase the buffer on Chem Sci? I think that's what I'll do. And Pi2 science. I'm doing science, but the problem is we're actually too efficient with all our vat brains and stuff, so it's not really using up science very fast. Your PC still says the key in the second row is a Z. And the... Wait. I'm confused. So you're using a US layout keyboard. So your actual keyboard has the Z key in the bottom left, but your digital German computer is saying that the Z key is up by the 6 and 7 because it's a German Windows. Interesting. I'm sure there's a patch for that if you want to change it, like 100%. So you're literally looking at a key that says Z and you press it and it puts a Y into the I would die. That sounds awful. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just grab this and I'm gonna grab this, and that should have our base spending some extra resources too. So now we'll save again. And now this will be the start of the test, 4320909. All right. And now I'll start recording. Oh, I haven't tested. Is YouTube chat showing up on the screen? I didn't test that part yet. Zep. Nice. YouTube chat is not showing up on the screen. Oh, you did see that. Okay. Why is my test not showing up on the screen? What the heck? My own text didn't show up. I just said test on the YouTube chat and it didn't show up. I am invisible. Oh, there it goes. Tets. Anyway, too many jokes just popped in my brain. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm starting recording. Okay, I'm banned from my own chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of pYanodon's Season 3. We are live with Twitch and YouTube here, and we are testing the train braking force upgrades. So that's going to be kind of this episode. It will be a little bit different than normal. So what I've done, I've kind of pre-prepared a few things here. So I've downloaded the new version of CyberSyn, which has the analytics enabled, and you also need to download Factorio charts, a separate submod if you enable the analytics. And we have built a bunch of like gas power plant tier 2s, a bunch of the solar panels. I removed the buffers of chemical and Pi2 science, and I'm also researching science. So between all of that, my base should be a little busier for a while. And what we're going to do is we're going to track the next 10 minutes of train analytics, and then we're going to do that twice to see if the numbers are very different. If they're pretty much the same, then I'm not going to test it a third time. If they're pretty different, I'll probably test it another time. 3 is probably enough, unless the numbers are wildly different. And then what we'll do is we'll reload the save. I need a console command to pause the game. And then I'll force research the train braking force upgrades, so they're immediately done. And we'll let the base run again, and we'll compare the numbers. And it's going to be wonderful to see how train utilization changes based on braking force. So that's the goal. We're going to dive in here. I shouldn't have to do anything for the next 10 minutes. We're just chilling. Your top useless skill is you switch between QWERTY and Dvorak. That is impressive. That's like the riding the backwards bike thing that Smarter Every Day did, where you like, it doesn't make any sense for a long time until it clicks, and now your brain just does it, and there's like no extra stuff necessary. Hey, Ariafi, thank you. Thank you for the 400 hours. I'm impressed we've made it this far as well. So yeah, the analytics look like this. And we can see the data beginning to flow in. So basically, we're just going to be able to look at utilization over the 10-minute time range. Like, that's all we're going to have to do. And then we'll upgrade braking force and see what the number is. That's all that is going to have to change. And we'll compare. So this will be a very easy test to run. Because utilization is what percent, at least I assume, the maker of the mod is here. Nick, is the utilization measuring what percentage of that type of train is currently not idle? Can I confirm? Yes, okay, perfect. Oh, I had an item. Oh, you need an item filter. There's no non-item filtered. So if I wanted to look at like, oh, I want to look at moss. Moss goes everywhere. What? I haven't done a moss delivery? Unbelievable. What about stone? That stuff's flying all over the place. There's one. Whoa. No stock F. I don't know what that means. Failed. No provider had sufficient stock. Stuck 2. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have some weird data. Because we are gonna have some broken stations over the next. We're gonna see some train stuck symbols because of we were using the Dan Bopes fork with the extra, like it would add the second station in the same inventory, which of course is not going to be working because we're back into the main fork of, or the main branch of CyberSyn. So yeah, that's probably just because it's stuck waiting for stone that doesn't exist. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways we could run this test. I could speed up time. Does playtime speed up with it? or not? Because if it does, I'm fine with it, because then we'll be able to still stop at the same breakpoint. Oh, it doesn't. See, that's a problem. We need a guaranteed stop at the same breakpoint, and I don't have something measuring that, so I don't think we can speed up time, because that would cause us to make a time in game, an in-game clock that actually measures game time. Oh my goodness. I mean, what else are we doing? Might as well. We've already got our to-do timer. Certainly it can't be that much different than this guy. Playtime speeds up with the ticks. Oh, okay. Well, I'm getting conflicting information. I need the truth. I have 1 versus 1. I need more opinions. I actually don't need more opinions. I need more knowledge. I need more people that actually know what they... Your opinion is useless unless you actually know what you're talking about. Well, I don't want to test it because it'll throw off this current test unless it properly works. Playtime is tick-based. Okay, so now we have 2 people voting for playtime is tick-based, which is what we want. If playtime is tick-based, I can speed up the game without messing up the test. I am inclined to agree that playtime is tick-based based on my memory of when I was using time tools. Yeah, okay. Good. What up, Centered? Long time no see. Okay, so that means I can speed up playtime. But I don't know the command for it. I want to do console commands, not editor, because editor... I guess time continues here, though, when I go into the editor, right? So that doesn't... But if I speed up time in the editor... Does that also speed up time in the Pi base? I don't know exactly how all that works. I don't know if I want to leave the main base. I know there's a console command for it. Surely someone can get it for me. It's like c.player. Yeah, cgame.speed. Let's just do 2. That'll go fast enough. Yep, that's definitely 2 seconds per second. Oh no, the autosaves. The blocking autosaves are gonna throw off our test. What if the autosaves don't take the same amount of time because my computer is doing some different process in the background and it takes... I guess it pauses the playtime when it's saving though, so it should be fine. Never mind. Never mind, Factorio is beautifully lockstep like that, so we should be fine. Okay, so we're waiting for 4:32:19:09. What's the pause command? Can I just do game speed 0 to pause the game? Nope. Pause break button on the keyboard. That's not doing it. Wait, is there just a straight up pause hotkey that I unbound? Oh. Huh. There you go. The more you know. Can I still do stuff? No, you can't click on anything or open any GUIs. I'll just change the playtime to 0.01. That'll be good enough. Because that means I have 100 seconds to mess around and it only goes through 1 second of game time. So that should be fine. Yeah, that version of pause is more like hitting escape than it is like pausing the game. Like basically I want the game to freeze without me being locked out of anything. I want tick pause. Was that an option? Did I just like not even see it? There's pause resume music and toggle entity paused, which is a different thing. So no, I don't seem to have that type of pause. I can unbind that. I'm probably never going to use that. Search tick. Tick. tick once in the editor. It, freeze? Stop. I don't know if there's such a thing. You might have a mod that enables that. Tick once will pause the game. Now that's an interesting reality. Okay, we're getting close. We're waiting for 1909. Okay, tick once will pause the game. How do you resume the game then? Do you have to type in the console command to set the speed back to 1? Because there's no resume game. But that's in the editor, not in the game. That's not a game command. Oh, yeah. I mean, we could just straight up pause the game in the editor already. We don't need to tick once in the editor. Anyway, oh gosh, we're already going up on it, and we are there. All right. So we are now at 0.01. Uh-oh. We have to wait many ticks for things to happen. So 0.01 means we're doing a little less than 1 tick a second. How many ticks does it take for this chart to update, Nick? we can analyze your code pretty intensely at this speed. It's taken a while. That's really funny. Just put on blast. Sorry, man. Actually, though, should I, like, is this gonna take, like, 60 ticks to show up, or? What are we talking here? The editor does have tick X times. That's a good point. Oh, there it is. Okay. That was probably what, like 20 ticks? Okay, so we're at 67.1 for fluid. That's so useful. Just that alone right there is telling me, like, I'm gonna need to add fluid trains before I add solid trains. And 59.5 solid. That's so cool. All right, I'll take a picture of this graph. And now we load the game. Hitting the escape key is tick bound. Wow, even the UI options in the escape menu are game speed bound. That is interesting. I wouldn't have banked on that, because the game is frozen. That's super interesting. Also, it says 6 minutes ago because that's real life time. Wait, no, that's an autosave. Sorry. "14 minutes ago. I guess we slowed down time. Yeah, using the tick X times maybe would have been smarter for this. Let me think. Let's load into this. Immediately slow the game down. Go to the editor. Go to the time. Play for limited time. 10 minutes would be 36,000. Then do that. And then we go a little faster. Okay. Why does it say paused on it? It's not paused. And then I should be able to just look at Novice surface. And we can see how this builds up. It's not paused though. You can see stuff running. So it's just weird that it says paused. It's like actually playing, but it says paused. So that's very confusing. Also, Nick, is it normal for the graphs to have like a weird jumble up here in the front, or is something broken here? I seem to have broken something. And it like doesn't even reset when I like change. It's probably based on my modification of game speed. Welcome to paused ticks. Huh. So the game was paused, but it wasn't paused? Love it. That's weird. All right, so we're waiting for... Well, it should stop on its own, right? Hitting pause and play there, did that screw up my tick custom? I hope not. If it did, we're screwed. I mean, I can still slow it down like I did last time. Okay, so last time we had 67 on fluid and 59.5 on solids. Yeah, my goal is just to leave this up so it'll pause right when it's over, but we'll already have the UI measurements. Part of the problem is this is pretty bouncy. Bouncy's a weird word to use, but it's like, you know, large changes in the utilization based on like one train leaving or exiting this graph. So it could be good to run this test like 3 times just to make sure it's all in the same ballpark. All right, I'm just gonna trust that it stops. If it doesn't, we might be screwed. I guess maybe I should get ready for that option. It should stop at like 1910. No, it didn't. Interesting. Oh, it actually does go to paused by default, even when you do that. What the heck? So tick custom needs, so I did break it when I did that. Weird. Very weird stuff we're dealing with here. All right, so hold on. Load game. Change speed, save again. Just so that we've already got the speed part fixed. That was so weird, it saved, but it saved the game like computer program wise before the next tick was rendered. So it just skipped showing me the save bar completely. That's so funny. Okay, so now we can go to editor and then we go to time tools. And now pause, but speed up the game. Oh, it's so weird. So the game's still paused, but it's not paused. And then this is 36,000 ticks. That's the right number, right? For 10 minutes? Does anybody? Yes, no? 60 ticks is a second. 3,600 ticks is a minute. 36,000 ticks, 10 minutes. Yeah, that's right. All right. So from here, we are ready to go. So why don't I save this? And then now we can just hit this button. And all we got to do is wait and watch this bad boy. And it should stop at some point. Also, this is not 10 minutes. Uh-oh. We haven't had 10 minutes of game time elapse. Uh-oh. Oh, 10 minutes from when no, sorry, we have. Because I went for a couple minutes of setting stuff up. So we should be good. What's up there, Onigbum? Onigbum? I don't know how to pronounce that. Welcome. All right. So now that we've got this set up, I might just do whole new tests. Because we should be able to get that going. We'll see what the numbers are. We are testing the effect of train braking force upgrades on train utilization across the base. So the question is, how much does it actually help? My theory is not very much, but we'll see. And it blew past our 36,000 ticks again. I'm very confused. Does anyone know why it's not stopping? Did I not hit tick custom? Am I going crazy here? 90% sure I hit tick custom. That works fine. Why didn't it work fine with 36,000? What the heck? Did you just see that playtime jump? Did you guys see that? What the heck? Okay, no, something weird is going on here with the editor. It's not actually pausing playtime. Like right now, playtime is not moving. But as soon as I do one tick... Okay, one tick isn't doing it. But as soon as I hit play, the playtime jumps, even though we were paused. So I can't use pause. Ah! I feel like people keep telling me different things. So I can't actually pause with editor because that's gonna break the measurement of playtime. I don't need the mod to update when paused. Because again, I can leave this up while it's running, and then wherever it's sitting when the game pauses is fine. The problem is the playtime measurement is what I'm trying to use to tell me when we're done, but it's not working properly. The playtime counter mon, yeah, all right. You don't need it. You don't need to be all caps there, protocol. Yeah, I know you're excited. This is on me for trusting chat. Yeah, indeed. So I think the easiest way to actually do this properly is what? When I press tick custom, playtime jump by around 5 minutes. Yeah, that's because we sped up the paused time. When you speed up pause time, the real playtime in the background is continuing to grow. Because that's measuring... Okay. Hear me out. I believe I understand this properly. I'm sure I'll get comments telling me I don't, which I don't know if I should trust them or not. But I believe I understand it, and there are two types of ticks. There's like a Factorio software tick, and then there's a game tick. When you pause in the editor, the Factorio software ticks are still going. And in fact, I have them sped up by 8x right now. So like my in-game like frame rate is actually 144 a second right now, because Factorio as software is updating 8 times as fast as it normally would. And that is incrementing playtime. Playtime is tracking the Factorio software ticks, which means that, is your time in the escape menu? Or does that also pause playtime just as like a hard-coded thing? Because you can see there, it just auto-saved even. There is only game ticks. I mean, you know what I mean, Protocol. I'm just throwing words out there. You can call it whatever you want, but I am correct that there are two different types of ticks happening here. Because like, there are ticks happening for the Factorio software right now. And similarly, there are not ticks happening for the gameplay. This radar ain't moving, you know what I mean? Like, so like, the game is paused and yet the game isn't paused. There are two types of ticks. And I've sped up one type of tick, even though the game ticks are actually paused right now. Because I could also slow down the playtime ticks by doing this, even though the game is still paused. So again, there are two types of ticks here, in effect. As far as what you actually want to call them, sure, maybe I'm using the wrong words. The Factorio devs wouldn't like it. But like, in terms of actual user experience, there are two types of ticks here. So as far as how we actually run this test properly, the 36,000 should work. It's just not going to end on the playtime that we expect it to, I think. Am I correct? Does that sound right to you guys based on what we've all learned together? We're learning so much. This is fun. We didn't even expect to learn all these things about ticks and pausing. So the 36,000 ticks will work, but the playtime up here is going to give a weird number. It might not be the same every time, and that's fine. Doesn't need to be. We can trust the process. So I have screwed everything up by now, though, which means we're going to have to go back. But I am correct about paused. Like, look, this is 4 FPS. Well, not 4, but, you know, a fourth of the normal FPS. So, like, the game is basically running at 1/4 of the UPS right now, but game updates are completely paused as well. But playtime is going at 1/4 the normal rate. It's all weird. It's all very weird. I can't put the this playtime mod is unfortunate because it gets in the way of the FPS UPS. And I think I even have a setting that was supposed to fix that, but then I think the mod that removes the bar in the map menu, I think the combination of all those doesn't work out. We can try it. Where's that setting? Is it per player? Probably. Oh, no, I just don't have that setting. Cool. Okay, there we go. Well, at this point, I need to load the game first. Hold on. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. So, right. So we're at 8x paused. So the playtime's just skyrocketing right now, but that's fine. We don't need to worry about that. We can ignore playtime. Settings. Mod settings, per player, stats GUI. Adjust for FPS UPS, confirm, and then F5. All right. So there you go. Everybody's happy now. So now we can type 36,000 and hit tick custom, I believe. Okay. Boom. Here we go. So this is the first real test. Also, John, you asked a question earlier. Do I care about train utilization, or do I want to use the breakdown and see for a given item how long time was spent in traveling versus loading, etc.? It certainly could be useful. I think train utilization is a good measure in general of train effectiveness, like overall delivery time. Because if a delivery happens 5% faster, then you will be utilizing fewer trains over the course of 10 minutes, and our utilization will go down. So I think this is an acceptable measure to use. Like, imagine if trains completed deliveries 5% faster, and you were at somehow magically you were at exactly 100% utilization, and then you did an upgrade that made trains somehow, again magically, they will complete their full delivery exactly 5% faster. Well, in that case you would be at 95% utilization, or roughly, and it might be a divided by 0.95 situation, but like you would see about a 5% decrease in utilization. So if our utilization is at 60% and then we do braking force upgrades and it goes down to 55%, then that's a huge upgrade, right? That's like a 10% less trains used over time. But I imagine we will see much smaller numbers than that. So I think it's a decent measure. I could be wrong. In F4, you can show it outside of the debug interface. Oh, interesting. That is useful knowledge. So our actual UPS is 180, so this is going to take 3 minutes of actual real time, which is a good amount of time for me to grab some more coffee. So I'll be right back. I'm going to pause the recording though, so you guys in YouTube don't have to wait for that. Okay, we're back. I'm glad 60 ticks per second only happens in Factorio. Yes, indeed. 60 ticks per second is a very disturbing phrase for people that don't understand video games. Oh man, I need to warm myself. I'm gonna do a backwards jacket here, because it's really my arms that are cold. And then I can just do this, you know, for added nap time. Oh, okay, we're there, right? Okay, so we ended at 73.9, 56.2. Now here's an Factorio. Here's a couple interesting questions. If we weren't playing a game, a mod, that uses percentage-based recipes, would this be the same every time? Is that the only element of randomness that currently exists in the entirety of Factorio? Or are there more? Like, are there other things like mod scripting that could somehow like not provide the same results over the course of 10 minutes? Or is truly the only element of non-deterministicness of these 10 minutes, is it the percentage-based recipes? Or are there other RNG calls in Factorio? I'm actually really curious about that. So I think we can't use this because the game's paused, but we could try. Because the game's sort of not paused. So I don't know what it's going to do. Yeah, it doesn't work. Because the game's not running. Alright, that's fine. Setting a pipe wrong and don't notice it. Alright, so that was test number 1, 73.9, 56.2. So now we load again. And the mod settings wrong. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We already know this works fine. And now we open this. And then we do that, and then we do this, and we just chill. Sure, there's some race conditions. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is I know they've eliminated, in fact, I'll just take off the F5 because it's making chat look weird. They've eliminated like all the multiplayer desyncs, which means the game is extremely deterministic, even in crazy situations. I don't know if it's perfect, but I'm guessing it's close to perfect. And so the question is like, are there well, the question that comes to my mind is that the same as saying the next 10 minutes will always play out the same way? The next tick playing out the same way for multiple players is not necessarily the same question as will the next 10 minutes play out exactly the same if you just reload it and hit play. Because it's possible there's RNG calls that would be the same for every player because of some, you know, however they do RNG or whatever. But they could be different on reloads of the same save. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly what I mean, but my brain's halfway onto something. Yeah, Sprindinia, it's got to be something like that. The RNG has to be somehow seeded in a way that it works between multiplayer computers, because the computers are separately getting to the same RNG value at the same time. So it's not true RNG. And of course, no digital RNG is actually RNG. Yes, we could go down that. Oh, I didn't unpause the recording. All right, I've got more coffee. We're partway through the second test here, talking about RNG. And I was posing the question if this 10 minutes of playtime is deterministic or not, in a world where you don't have chance-based recipes. And even in the world where we do have chance-based recipes, is it deterministic? If you reload the same save right before a recipe, I think it does save scum. So the RNG is coming from something that changes when you reload a save. So in that sense, the RNG's, you know, and it could be as simple as every time you click on a UI element, it increments the seed. But that doesn't work for multiplayer, so that's not a great example. But there are other things that you could use in multiplayer that increment the seed, even if you were to restart at the same point, so that you can't save scum RNG. Or no, that actually means you can save scum RNG. All right, looks like it's stopped. So we are at 73.9 and 56.2. That's a good sign. We got exactly the same numbers on both of them. Woo! So that's good news. That means I'm not going to run a third test. I highly doubt a third test would yield different results. If it did, it would probably be by a tiny fraction, because again, it would be one recipe that had a percentage chance that like didn't make an item when it could have, and that somehow caused one train delivery to happen 5 seconds later. That's the only kind of change we would see here, which would be a very small percentage difference. So now we are ready for test 3 and 4. So we'll load the game. And at this point, we need to force research. So I'm going to need some help with the console commands on that. We need to force research 2 researches. Oh. The game will stay paused if I leave the editor, or no? This could be an issue. I need it to research it for my Nauvis pybase, not the editor. Shoot. Because this is a different set of researches that I'm looking at here. Crap. Yes, Nick, that is the hypothesis. It's not even a hypothesis, it's a reality. It's just a question of how much is more the question. Like, imagine if braking force went to 10 billion% and trains could stop literally in one tick. Your utilization would go down a little bit. Again, I don't even know by how much it would go down if you increased braking force to infinity. It still might not go down by that much, but it will go down. Because they'll, at the very least, even if you ignore all other savings of time, it will arrive at the final destination slightly faster. Because it can stay at full speed until it gets there. And so that alone is like a proof, you know, even if you ignore all other options, which there are other places it will save you time as well. Even if that's the only place it saved you time, that does prove braking force will decrease utilization. Anyway, I don't know, can anyone help me out? I don't know what to do here. How do I get these researches done for my pybase on Nauvis surface? Do I need to change force? No, I need to change current force to player. There we go. That should do it. Also, I can change to player channel 1. And I could finally move those channel 1 buildings. You know, there's an interesting... This is kind of... I almost need 2 editor modes. Because right now we have the testing lab editor mode, but that's not normally what editor does. If you've ever just done vanilla editor, it pops you into the editor in the same world that you're currently standing in. And I could then switch to player channel 1, so when I switch over to the editor, I could mess with the channel 1 buildings. But then the problem is then I'm not automatically hopping into the testing lab, which is... I don't use it a ton, but I use it a medium amount. It'd be nice if I could have one hotkey to jump into the editor that's in the pybase to edit the channel 1 stuff, and then a different hotkey to jump into the testing lab to just do testing lab stuff. Anyway, I digress. I think this is what we wanted. So now how do I force research? Anybody got that on lock? I want to do... Gildarth, you don't even need a mod. The editor defaults to being in your main base. This is the editor extensions mod that adds the testing lab. Claude says this should work. Oh boy. Factorio force research. I don't want to manually set the braking force. I want to actually do the researches. I'll find it on the wiki. It's in here somewhere. Well, thought I'd find it easily. Google's becoming increasingly useless to find what I'm actually looking for. I should stop using Google. But even for stuff like this, it's not like I'm getting a bunch of weird like SEO crap and like AI blogs. It's just not pulling up the page that actually has what I want. Here's the console command page, but I'll have to find... See, here's research all technologies. I don't want all technologies. I want a specific technology. I've now found 2 results that give me all technologies. Research specific technology console command Factorio. All right, I'll put in more words. Maybe that'll help. Here's a Reddit post from 4 years ago. All right, there it is. So, oh, I need to actually hit Control V. I don't know how to use editor extensions to do an immediate research. Okay, so it's something like that. And we need breaking force 1 and 2. We're just gonna do these two, which is a bonus of 25%. So this is called, oh, I thought that bottom one was the name for a second. I was like, wow, that's a heck of a name. PyDevs. No, it's just called breaking force 1. Breaking force 2. All right. It's been shown that Google's degraded their searches to make you search more. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. You know, I really don't have the Factorio wiki on speed dial, surprisingly. You'd think I would. I don't need it very often, to be honest. I mean, not to, like, there's so much to know about the game that I don't know, but I do know a lot. You know, like most of the things I'm curious about are more like specific to my particular situation than they are just like stuff that would be on a wiki, if that makes sense. Okay, so I have to go back to this /. Okay, see, blah blah blah. Force technologies. What was it? I already forgot what it was. Oh no, was it breaking force 1? That was it, right? You know, I wonder if this would have worked because it was .player.force anyway. So it probably would have worked even if I was on the wrong editor force. I bet it would have. Okay, so theoretically, yes, we're there. And if I look at trains, that's not what I'm looking at. If I look at bonuses, breaking force, boom. All right, so now we save again. And now resume, and now we can go to tick 3600. And now we wait. Oh boy. What do you guys think? Is it actually going to be better? I mean, surely it's a tiny bit better. It'd be hilarious if it was the same numbers again. I can't see how it would be though, because the utilization isn't at 100%, which is important for the test, because if it was, it's possible that even with improved trains, there still isn't enough. But like this means that we've got enough trains, which means they should resume being idle sooner. So like, I think this is gonna be a lower number. It's just a question of how much lower. And we're only doing 10 minutes, which is maybe not a long enough time to get like a great average. Because like I said, these numbers are kind of jumping around in pretty big increments. So maybe we should have done, well, we had to do a second test to see if it gave us the same numbers. And then from there, we probably should have done a third test where we played the game for a couple minutes and then just took a second sample. And then we've got 2 different data points and then we can average those percent anyway. I'm getting into statistics here, but I've been doing a lot of stats with games recently. I find that I'm drawn towards wanting to find statistics of the games that I play. I just did a huge Path of Exile 2 project last week, trying to figure out random numbers that the game doesn't tell you through lots of tedious work. All right. 73.9 was our number. We're underneath 73.9 right now. Oh, but it's creeping up. Uh-oh. Oh no. I feel like we're close to when it's gonna stop. Is it possible that it could be higher? If it is, we'll have some explaining to do. I mean, here's the problem. Oh, it actually is. I just thought of something. Because, like, in this world, our trains are completing deliveries sooner. Which means... Is this actually a good test? I just realized this test might be flawed. So the reason I say that is because the deliveries are getting completed sooner, which is yeah, we have very different numbers, 62%. But I don't think that's because our trains are, God, what would that be, 15% faster on deliveries? I don't think that's true. I might need a single item test, Nick, and I might need to measure actual single deliveries and compare them. Because exactly, preschool. I hadn't gotten the words out of my mouth yet because I am complete ADHD right now. But yeah, basically it changes the whole scope of the next 10 minutes. If the first train gets to its delivery done a little bit sooner, well, now that maybe generates a whole new request or delivery sooner than that, which then changes the next thing. And like there's a I guess you could call that the butterfly effect. That is an accurate use of the butterfly effect. And so things could be very different by the time you get 10 minutes down the road. They're probably not very different, but they are different. And when we're looking at such a chunky like scale, even just a little bit different could entirely change this number by like 5%. So I don't think this is a great test because it's too chunky for things to average out perfectly in a short scope of 10 minutes. If we measured the base over like 10 hours, I would trust that to all cancel out in the long run. But in just a 10-minute test, I don't really think we can trust this because of what we just said. So we need to figure out a new test that's probably going to be more on the breakdown level. What item gets delivered the most often? Whoa, did not mean to do that. What item gets delivered the most often? I feel like moss is pretty high up there. But it only got delivered twice even in 10 minutes. Whoa. Why did it just appear and disappear and then disappear and appear again? That's weird. Yeah, maybe we just compare two specific deliveries. Maybe that's the way to do it. Oh, that's just so beautiful. Can I just say, I mean, this is just beautiful. Oh, it's so good. Which color is which? Oh yeah, Nick, I think someone already requested this. I think I saw them ask you for it. Like being able to see, like, I don't know which color this is, and they're especially for someone that struggles with colors, this is a little rough. Like, it'd be nice if you highlighted that for it to tell you which one you're looking at. Oh, it does say travel to P. Someone was asking for something in that category, though. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was when you highlight this, it like highlights the... No, what was it? Maybe it was averaging all of them? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, let's do something like this. What is that? Oh, that's weird. I wonder if that's a CyberSyn, like, multi-loader issue. What causes this to think a train is train capacity insufficient? I don't actually know what that means. Nick, I would request that this is a more clear, like, train capacity, like, as in the wagon cannot hold enough, but hold enough for what? Like, what does that actually mean? Like, I'm not really sure what exactly that's saying. is that like a request is bigger than any train that I have could handle? Is that the train that was there can't hold the number of items it asked for? Is that like I know something's bad, but I don't think there's actually any specificity on like what is wrong here. I'm sure if it happened a bunch of times, you could like look at what was happening and then kind of connect the dots. But just from this alone, I don't really know what that means. And I guess you don't either. It's a Cybersyn phrasing. Anyway, so what test are we going to do here? So let's look at Moss over... what other items? Throw out some items, y'all. What are some other items I can look at? Because Moss is like 2 per 10 minutes. What might be more than that? Maybe hot air? I don't actually know if iron plates are more than that. I don't know how many we go through. None. I've had no iron plate deliveries in the last hour, according to this. Oh, wait, we're paused again. Sorry. Okay, I was like, that doesn't sound right. Not iron plates. How's hot air looking? Still less than moss. Stone's not gonna work because I broke the trashing stations by switching to this fork of Cybersyn. Tin plates is a reasonable thing. We might actually use more tin than iron. Oh, maybe not. Just kidding. Salt. I think I do saline water mostly instead of salt, though. Yeah. Saline water is about the same as moss. Sand might have the same, and I've made a lot of sand on site. Yeah. Okay, so probably moss. Raw coal, stone, coke wood, ash. Oh, wood could be one. Yeah, the problem is a lot of those are trashing based things, which again are broken for me right now because of the, yeah, wood is less than moss. Try ash. Probably also broken though. Yeah. Okay, so let's do moss. So we'll load back to pre-break test 2. And I think we'll just do the same thing, but look at the moss delivery specifically. See, the problem is, this is so rough. What I wanted to do was be able to see all of the items across the whole base. Because the problem with looking at a specific delivery is, what if it's a short delivery? What if this train, like, no, this isn't good either. Dang it, this isn't good either. This is such a bummer. The reason I'm now throwing this out the window is there's too many variables that we are not averaging out by looking at this. There's way too many variables we're not averaging out. There's variables for how close is the source, how close is the destination, how many trains are in the way of the train as it's delivering the moss. And those are going to be different for every delivery, and they're different for different items. You know, iron might have to travel further on average than moss does. And like, I want all of those variables to be combined in the data that I'm getting, which is what utilization gives me. So I think my answer yeah, maybe I do need to do just a much longer test, preschool girl, and like get the mod that lets me queue up more than 6 researches and just like research the rest of Kimsai and let that run for like an hour. And then do the other one. And then the rest of my base should get buffered up on thing. But see, the problem is I don't have a lot of train traffic. So, Nick, you could always add a checkbox that toggles off unsatisfied things to... Whenever there's outliers, it's usually a good option to be able to remove the outliers, both from a visual sense and or, sometimes both, sometimes just one of the two, from a averaging out the numbers sense. You know, so if there are outliers there, it could be nice to just ignore those. But yeah, I'm seeing the problem is if I let it run forever, then the train traffic gets way lower over time because now it's only supplying science. I guess I could not use vat brains, which would maybe increase the science demand a little bit. But I still think my base overall, with all the productivity... Uh-oh. Oh, this is for moss. Wait, does the item filter matter for utilization? Because this is not 7. Is this the one where I did the researches or not? Wait, I didn't do the researches on this one, and I have a different number. Uh-oh. Rutro Raggy. For the duration of the test, avoid a bunch of expensive stuff. Now that's actually a good call. I could void like one expensive building every 10 seconds, or maybe every like minute. That might be a little too much. Do every 10 seconds. But yeah, that's actually a good call. I could go find some things that combine a lot of ingredients and void some of those constantly. This is getting to be a very involved test. I didn't think it would be this much. I thought this would be a little bit closer to what we want. I'm a little scared by what just happened. This is a different number. I had 73.9 and 56.2. Okay, well, I'm gonna write these down. This could be... because I loaded this one. And this is the one where I just did that. Huh. I'll run it one more time. I'm wondering if there's like a single binary, like whether this train delivers or not. Why would that change it by that large of a percent though? 74% down to 64%. That's a massive difference. Like a difference that shouldn't be possible even. You mean 10% of my trains were running on one of these tests? An average of 10% of my trains were running over the course of 10 minutes. I mean, how many fluid trains do I have though? Not that many, I guess. Oh, that's weird. It doesn't let me see my trains. Oh, this is on the version where I'm on the other force. Wait. Is the mod? Is this measuring a different force? Uh-oh. I didn't think about this. These don't seem to matter for utilization. Uh-oh. Do these not matter for utilization, Nick? So does that mean utilization is combining all surfaces? And all network IDs? Oh. Well, I guess that's fine. It's just, if we have idle trains on the test surface, that's gonna just add some percentage that isn't real to the extra. Like, it might say 70%, but that might actually be 100%. How many trains do I have in the editor? Why is there no map? What the heck is going on here? What happened to my map view of editor? What on earth? Oh, I changed my force, so I don't have it explored. Item filters on util probably doesn't make sense. I think it makes sense if you can make it performant and it doesn't like mess with the mod. You might want to know what percentage of my train network is iron alone using. That could totally, like, is that massively necessary or useful? I would say no. I wouldn't put it as like a #1 priority feature, but it certainly has utility, and if it is addable without bloating the mod or slowing things down, I'd say go for it. Anyway, okay, so that I've really been thrown off here. I wonder if that number is accurate, because now we're paused again. What is going on? Where's the editor? Y'all, I don't know what's going on. The editor had disappeared there when I changed my force or something. Anyway, how many trains do we have? We have 9. Okay. So these are doing some weird changing of my utilization. Okay. So let's go back to here. Let's remove these trains. What is that? Oh, Nixolite wagon. And then, okay. So let's do that first off, and then it shouldn't matter what force we are. So we'll just change the player now to get that out of the way. Okay. Once more we shall run the test. Because the last one was even differenter numbers. It wasn't the 73.9. I do wonder if this is a percentage-based thing, but how many recipes are percentage-based? And how many of them is it going to be different enough to actually significantly change train utilization? Not very many, right? Like, oh, and now all the numbers are going to be different because I deleted those editor trains. But like, I mean, how many are actually, because most of the percentage-based things, they average out pretty well. So even if those are different, we're looking at like, you know, a train might leave 5 seconds earlier or 5 seconds later based on variance. which has more of that like butterfly effect going on, I guess, which could explain it. But the actual overall utilization is not going to be that much different in the course of the base running. Yeah, I think the answer could just be a longer test here. Preschool, RNG calls are not deterministic. You can reload your save and it will change the rolls. I actually had it happen a couple times with rolling for animals and plants in this season. So that's unfortunately not true. Well, that's some BS. It really is. You can just save scum. Oh, you didn't get an Arcad Queen? Load your save. Maybe you will next time. Yeah, I don't know if the seed is reset on loading a save. From there, it probably is deterministic. I haven't tested like 2 randoms in a row, but I do know one random event is changed on loading a save. But yeah, as for like 2 randoms in a row, I don't know. But then again, if it's a random seed, it's probably, I mean, I guess it's technically possible you could land on the same number, but like if random A happens, that doesn't mean random B will also happen, because random A might have happened because it rolled a 29 out of 30 and the other one rolled a 28 out of 30, and to you those look like the same result, but they're not the same RNG seed. So I have no idea how multiplayer does it. I'm guessing it's like maybe when the server starts up or something, the seed is picked. I don't know. If you, oh, that's actually really useful. Do you know that for sure, Dave? I mean, I believe you because I know you do modding and stuff. That's actually really interesting. Okay, so here we are, results. So results are 64.9 and 62.9. Okay. Now, how does that make sense? It's higher on the, oh no, sorry, that does make sense. The fluid wagons are the same because we didn't remove any fluid wagons. That's fluid on the, or sorry, wait, the fluid is lower? Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Why would the fluid utilization be lower? Didn't I remove 1 fluid train? I don't know if it was at a depot, so it might not have counted as a Cybersyn train. I don't know how that works either. So I guess the fluid is the same as before, but now the cargo utilization is higher because we deleted some cargo trains from the test surface. Anyway, this is test 1. And now we'll do it again. I think for recording purposes, I'm gonna call it soon. I don't think we're gonna finish this test in this episode, which I know is unfortunate for those of you from YouTube, because you're like, oh, we're being left hanging with a cliffhanger. But I just think this is gonna take a little too long to fit it all in one episode. I could always just pause for the next hour and then, but like, I think I'd rather not do that. So, because I don't actually have the time in real life for that, to record that many episodes, or that long of an episode. So we can hit play on this and see test number 2. You're quite certain as you tested a while ago. Okay, well, I do believe you then. So that means what for our purposes? That means there shouldn't be any randomness, right? Doesn't that mean we're determined? Well, no. Okay, now I'm confused. When you say at the exact same time, Dave, do you mean game tick time, play time, or PC software time? Because those are, there's at least 3 different times you could be picking from when you say time. And all 3 of those will have different results for our purposes here in this exact test. Because those 3 times are different times for us. Yeah, I'm guessing it's software time. And that's why you get different results when you load a save. Because otherwise you would get the same results when you load a save most of the time. because the inserters are swinging at the same rate in both cases. And so even if you haven't started the recipe yet, it'll still be started on the same game tick in both cases. Software time meaning like what time does Windows say it is right now? So when I meant like operating system time. But Dave, that doesn't make any sense because what if you load a save right before the recipe starts? It's still starting on the same tick. But you do get different results. Like if you load a save where you've got all your items buffered and you're rolling Arcad Queens, that is a deterministic amount of time that each recipe takes. The inserters are going to swing the same rate every time. And so that you're going to get the crafts finishing on the same tick. Even if you do 5 crafts in a row, they're all going to finish on the same tick if you reload the save. But you get different results. So something's going on there that's changed. You should get the same result? I'm pretty sure you don't. Maybe I should test it again. I'm pretty sure you don't get the same result. That's an interesting theory. Because now that's conflicting with my understanding. And it's very possible that I could be wrong here. But I thought it was you could load a save and you'd get different results. This test has really grown into large proportions. But yeah, I mean, I do think braking force will help. It's just a question of how much, and are we even going to be able to measure it here? Oh crap, the numbers are different. So we had 64.9 on cargo, and now we have 66. And we had 62.9, and now we have 62.7. So that's test 2. I'll run one more on this episode, and we'll see where it lands. And just to confirm, the game is paused right now. So like, my PyBase isn't running, is it? Opens up production of other stuff. Like, research isn't running. Like, I assume it's not possible for game updates to be paused on editor, but not paused on another surface, right? Can you pause game updates per surface? Because if you can, there's maybe some weird way I could have screwed things up so that things on the PyBase are running. And surely this speed button has overwritten the 0.01 speed that I set it to, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't see all those CyberSyn updates. Yeah. Yeah, that I think overwrote the 0.01 thing. So I think I'm good to just hit this. Okay, well that's really interesting, Dave. I might test that at some point because I was under the opposite theory that if you ran like five rolls in a row for a percentage-based recipe, you know, such that everything's buffered and it'll all happen on the same ticks, and then you loaded a save, you could have different results. But maybe whenever I discovered that things weren't happening on the same tick, you know, it's possible that like, because there was some sort of test I did at some point where I'm like, oh, a different result happened. But I can't guarantee that it all started and ended on the same tick, so I'm not 1,000,000% sure about that. So that's why I'm curious on that one. All right, so for YouTube purposes, I will do, we'll finish this test, and then I'll run one with the braking force, and then we'll probably be done with the YouTube episode at that point. And I will probably, I might resume this at a different date because I want to play some actual pYanodon's in this stream, and I don't have a super long time to stream today. I can't do like a 6-hour stream, so as I have some IRL things I have to go do. So, what do we got? What do we got? We're hoping for a number around 65-ish. 66-ish. For the cargo wagon. Actually, wait a second. This is kind of interesting. The fact that these numbers are different on each test is a good thing, because that means there's some variance. And that means if I run, let's say 10 tests of each, I can get a mean and standard deviation for each. And then that will help me identify the braking force upgrade. I can literally do a straight up hypothesis test on that. So that is kind of nice. That's kind of nice. Science? Math, actually. I mean, math is science, yes, but specifically this would be just straight up math. Stats class. Math on real data. I loved my statistics classes. Not one of my professors in college. Did not love her, but the class was fine. She just wasn't. Okay, so crap. In my last two tests, do you guys know which one was on the top? Because now these numbers are so, I don't remember which was the blue and which was the yellow. And you guys can go back on Twitch into the past and tell me which was the top number. I literally just wrote them like, I didn't even label them like a bad sciencer. And the numbers are close enough, I really should have labeled them. And now I'm like, what if because I thought cargo was on top, but maybe it wasn't. So I need someone to zoom in and enhance on the past on the Twitch stream. You got a Mark III wrap 10 minutes later, and then, yeah. Yeah, so Pyionic, there's certainly some sort of RNG call that is changed when you load a save. The question is, what part of it is changing, and what part of it is deterministic? It's even possible there are like weird rounding things that, but again, that wouldn't work in multiplayer. So yeah, I don't know. There's gotta be something RNG somewhere, but I don't know what it is. I don't know which one is which. I'll label this one. Fluid was 60. I can go back and check it later. Fluid was 66.1. Cargo was 65.3. All right, so that was test 3. Can I go back in my own stream? Hold on, I might have to pull up my own stream here for a moment. I can clip it, but that's not quite the same. How do I... Going in. Literally, like, is my internet dead? What the heck's going on here? Tab is not even opening. Okay. Weird. Firefox, you okay? I muted the tab and then it like wouldn't open. That's really weird. Okay, so yeah, I can go back in my stream here. So going back to the last one, it was cargo that was 66, and going back to the one before that, wait, that's too far back. $64.9, I think was cargo. Yeah. Okay. No, 64.9 was fluid. What the heck? I can't read. My brain mixed up the colors and the letters. Fluid was 64.9. In that one as well. Okay, and then in the next one... Science is great. It was cargo that was 66. They did switch. Okay, so it was really 62.7 for fluid. 62.7 and then 66.0 for cargo. I should have them in the same place. All right. So yeah, we got some variants here. Let's do one. Wait, did I just say it backwards again? Cargo was 66. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I don't know what's happening. These colors are breaking my brain. Cargo is 66% on the second test. Fluid is 62.7. I have now erased this 3 times. Y'all, I think my brain is having a breakdown. 62.7. Fluid is on the top. That's how I'm writing this. Probably part of the issue. Okay, got it. So, now we will test the other one. And let me bring up pure ref here. And we can start getting some stats on the screen for you guys. Okay, so load game, high brake test, pre-brake test 2. Now we research the braking force upgrades. I'm so glad are remembered even between loads. So those are done, and now we hit the button. Okay. So that's that. Now we wait on that, and then I can open up pure ref here. And so then we've got, how do I, can I not do text? I thought I could just start writing. Oh, no, there we go. Okay, so we've got 64.9, 62.7, and 66.1 for fluid. And then for cargo, we've got 62.9, 66.0, and 65.3. Okay, so those are reasonable numbers. You're running an experiment now. Legendary quality modules in EM Lab making solar panels. 3 times in a row, you've gotten the first uncommon solar panel on the 10th craft. Now, as much as I appreciate your test, I will say quality is a different test than percentage-based output recipes. And it may use a different form of RNG. Quality has to be very performant, to the point where they might have actually used a different formula for quality. So yeah, your test is valuable, but it's a different test, and it's not necessarily proof of what we're talking about, though 3 times in a row on the 10th craft is pretty convincing that that's going to be the same every time. So in that sense, you might be onto something there with quality. So quality might be deterministic and unsave scummable. But that isn't necessarily true for all types of recipes. Okay, so this was for no braking force. No, I don't. This is so weird. Can I not? Why is drag? Okay, I swear I just did that. Oh, once you click out of it, it becomes like a picture. But once you click into it, it's like an actual text box. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I don't know how pure ref works. Blame Galdog. What are we doing? The numbers are the utilization percentages for the train network based on whether we have braking force upgrades or not. And we're running some tests. The sequences are predictable. Interesting. So then, Sviplet, why are we getting different results on this test? Because what RNG is happening? We're running exactly 36,000 game ticks. So like, nothing should be different when we load the save and run 36,000 game ticks. Nothing should change, right? I don't know. Anyway, so that's the no braking force. For with braking force, gotta add some data here. All right, what do we got? Cargo is 63.0. I mean, this is only one piece of data, but seems it's on the low end of the other three I had before. Fluid is 63.7. Okay. Why are these not blue like the other ones were blue? I liked that color actually. Why did you have a cool color and you don't? I never selected a color once. All right, cool. Okay, so I think we're gonna end the YouTube episode there. I know this is a bit inconclusive, but if you guys enjoyed this episode, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm guessing some of you didn't, and you probably skipped this episode, and you won't be hearing me say this, and that's okay, because this was a very weird episode, certainly not our normal speed of things, but still fun stuff, right? This is part of the Zen garden for me, is diving into these kinds of things, so... if you guys are here live, don't go anywhere. I'm not done with the stream. We're just stopping the YouTube recording for the episodes that'll get released kind of into normal YouTube. So for those of you watching from future YouTube, as always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, so Sviplet, that makes a lot of sense. That's exactly how like XCOM 2 works. Like, you can't save scum, but you can save scum and do your actions in a different order, and then like you will get different results. And so in that sense, you can save scum. But if you do the exact same things, like, you'll get the exact same results. But the question, Sviplet, which I still have that I don't really understand, what RNG calls are we making differently when I do this? I'm taking 0 actions as a player. So the base itself is making RNG calls differently when I hit play 36,000 ticks. There's 0 impact that I'm having on the game. So the game itself is non-deterministic, coming from somewhere. I don't know where it is, but something is causing non-determinism here. We'll run another test while we consider these crazy realities. Why does it sound like we're trying to solve the 3-body problem? Yeah, I didn't play with that mod enabled when I ran my KSP. I decided not to deal with in-body physics. 2-body physics is enough for me, thank you. All right, so we did the braking force upgrades. We should be good to just hit the button and go. My base is complex, Fiplet, but that still doesn't really answer the question of why would we see different results on different loads for the same number of ticks with 0 input from the player. Because if the RNG calls, like, my point is something has to be based on a factor outside of the game world, because we're loading the exact same tick and everything that's queued up to happen in the future is exactly the same as it was the last time we loaded it. And therefore the RNG calls should be the same, and therefore the RNG answers should be in the same orders, but it's not happening that way. So something is inducing external RNG to our base that is changing the, you know, the cascading effect of RNG being different. I don't know how else to say it. Like if we ran this as a multiplayer server, starting at the same point, we're ending at 2 different points. And I'm not sure what's making that change. Is it that we're loading the game? Is that doing something different, even if it's not seeding the RNG for percentage-based stuff different? What up, Melon? How's it going? Melon, you may know the answers to the things we are currently questioning. Like what the heck is going on with the RNG of this? Because our utilization of trains over the last 10 minutes is different every time we run 36,000 ticks. Despite playing our deterministic game here. So, and we're loading the game from a paused state. So my theory is that some of the RNG calls are somehow utilizing the playtime that doesn't ever stop, or it's utilizing something from the software side, or it's changing something when we load it. Something's happening, because we're not getting the same results. And you'd think we would. Also, what the heck, 90? Oh, right, we're not done with the test yet. I was like, that's a massive number, but it should go down by the end of the test. All right, that's probably just about done here. RNGs once created are not reseeded, they are save loaded. And I believe that, and that could still be true. But it's also still possible that there's some other source of RNG that pops into the game. Okay, so now we're at, you guys can't even see the number, there you go. So now we are at fluid 64.2, cargo 65.5. Ugh, it's like not even any different. Well, I think what we're learning here is braking force don't do crap. is my guess. We'll run one more test, and then I'm going to run a test to help testing the tests, as you do. And I'm gonna upgrade braking force to an absurd amount, and we're gonna see what that does. Just to kind of see, like, is it just the fact that we're just doing 25% braking force here? Is that mostly what's making it not change much? Or is it like braking force just barely does anything, even if you have infinite of it? Which is kind of what I'm leaning towards, to be honest. I'm guessing when we do infinite braking force, it's still not going to change much. We will see if my theory is correct. I need to research the braking force. Now I am doing the command correctly, right? I didn't check this last time, but that is exactly what I did, and does show the braking force upgrades on our trains. So that should do it. That should do it. And we'll see what we get for our results. But it's not looking good for our braking force heroes. I mean, those numbers are basically indistinguishable. you know, even a 5% boost would be 3% lower. So I don't even think we get a 5% boost out of this. My initial, I would say napkin math, but it was much more involved than a napkin. It had many, many formulas on Desmos. And my initial numbers there gave me a guesstimate that was less than 1%, I think. It was a mixture of like complex math, but also napkin assumptions that landed me around like 1% or less from a 25% breaking force upgrade. So if that was even close to correct, then we're not even going to note it. Like, our variance here is so high that we wouldn't even really notice the difference in this test. Now, from a breaking force upgrade of 10,000%, we might see a bigger difference. Because now you're talking, you know, a train's getting somewhere a full, like, 3 seconds faster or something. And the trains are like, you know, in terms of like clearing intersections, if there's a train going this way, the train coming from the south doesn't have to brake at all. Like, as long as the train's out of the intersection by the time the bottom train gets there, it'll just keep going full speed. So I do think infinite braking force will make a difference. Though we're about to test it. That's our next test. We'll find out together. All right. And what do we get for the results? We're very close. It's always right before the Arthurians. Or right after the Arthurians. Oh no. I just realized something. I mean, it's something that wouldn't matter in the long run. Like, if we ran 1,000 tests, it wouldn't matter. But part of the variance could actually be coming... You know, Nick, are you still here? It could be coming from your mod. It runs the GUI updates here on a fixed rate that's not tied to UPS, it seems. Because we're running the game at 3 times speed. And it seems like it's still only updating like every 1 second. So is it based on real time? Or like what, like, because if it's based on the well, but it's not updating now that UPS is paused. I guess what I'm trying to get at is if we hit the button at a different time, would it start at a different almost modulus within the GUI update? And so the whole thing could be like time shifted slightly, which could miss or add a train delivery on the end. I don't know if any of those words made sense, but all right, what do we got? Cargo is 66.9. See, that's my new high score. Oh my goodness. And then fluid is 62.5, which is my new low score. So all of these new numbers with braking force are basically the same. 3 numbers isn't enough to prove anything or really say with any confidence whether it's better or worse, but it certainly is not enough to say with confidence that it's better. So if it is better, it's by a very small amount that cannot be measured with this amount of variance without doing many tests. In fact, with these numbers, my gut says we'd have to do like 100 tests to start to see differences. Like, these numbers are almost indistinguishable at this point without more data points. So what we're gonna do is just see, is braking force really making that big of a difference, even if it's 1 billion%? So we'll load one more time. Now, somebody sent me this command earlier. How do I actually set the braking force manually? There's a command for that too. Set braking force via console command Factorio. Huh. All right. Same result every time. 4 to 7x. I'm not finding a braking force command. I feel like someone shared it earlier in chat. What's up, Trig? We are trying to see how much braking force actually helps your base, is kind of the bottom line of what we're trying to figure out. Okay, this is what Claude claims. But some of it got... Nick, you sent a thing earlier, but some of it got... what's the word? Censored out for some reason by Twitch. And it was like game.player.forces or something. Train braking force bonus. Probably like here. Dot train dot underscore braking force bonus equals 100. That work? Sure did. There it is, 10,000%. All right, let's see how we do. So then there's the question, okay, no, like if trains were instant, let's say trains moved and braked instantly. The teleportation, literally they teleport to the stations. Utilization would still be some number because of loading and unloading. So like the utilization has a floor and a ceiling. I mean, the ceiling's 100%, I guess, but there is a floor on yes, preschool girl, we will watch the actual trains. I also thought the same thing. But we need to, I don't want to change anything about little testing environment here, so we're gonna wait until the test is done and then we'll watch the trains because I do want to see what that looks like too. Yeah, no, you want to actually watch the game? Goodness, we stare at graphs here. Anyway, there's a floor on how low this can go, right? Just because of loading and unloading. Like that's always going to take a flat amount of time regardless. So in that sense, the boost that we will see, even if it was an 100% boost, aka trains got to where they're going twice as fast, the utilization isn't going to go down to 30%. It will go halfway towards the floor, whatever that is. And the floor would be if trains teleported. So in that sense, I would need to look at the breakdowns across all items and ignore the loading and unloading time and only look at the delivery, travel to delivery timings and compare those averages. Because yeah, this isn't going to give us a super conclusive number. Because I mean, yeah, our still got up to 90% there. Like, even with braking force being instant. So I don't know. I think braking force is borked. I'm sure there are certain bases where it's going to have a bigger impact. but I'm imagining it's not the average base. I think it's actually more top speed trig that braking force is going to care about than acceleration. As top speed goes up, the braking force will probably have a larger impact. These are literally the same flipping numbers, dude. Cargo 65.9. Oh man, this is like juicy. Fluid 62.1. I mean, it's like not even that different. I might as well write it down, but this is crazy town. With plus 10,000% braking force. All right, I've seen all I need to see. Braking force is not worth it. They need to buff those researches. I mean, probably not, because it's more for a conceptual idea that those researches should be the number. Like, if you just made them absurd numbers, then trains are stopping immediately, and it's going to look weird, as we're about to see. So they probably shouldn't do that, but... all right. Up. Yep, they are full on stop on a dime trains now. Bop. Oh, that's great. That's really great. Does this also speak to how non-useful elevated intersections would be? Less so on that front. Elevated intersections utility is more about traffic than it is about braking force. Braking force helps traffic slightly, but it doesn't fix the fact that trains are spending some amount of time in the intersection blocking it. Braking force slightly decreases how much a train needs to slow down, as you can see. It needs to slow down before getting to the intersection, but trains are still blocking the intersection for some amount of time. So elevated intersections are more about fixing that issue, and that's still going to be applicable no matter what braking force is or isn't. And Nam, that's actually kind of a good thing. So like our base is not indicative of all bases, but it's fairly indicative. I mean, we got a lot of trains zipping around here. It's fairly indicative of a lot of things averaging out, right? Like this, I would argue this is a better test than a lot of like lab tests where you're like, I'll just schedule 500 trains zipping around and then we'll measure it. Because that's less accurate towards what a real base actually runs like. And this base is a real base. And so looking at how much braking force helps us is far more realistic than a lab test. The difference that you would need a different test for is the size of your trains. Like if you're using like 1/8 trains or something, then braking force might have a larger impact. Or if your base has many more intersections or way fewer intersections, or it has way higher train density, you know, then you might see a little bit of a different effect. So there are some variables in that sense. But like overall, you know, we've got quite a few trains zipping around. We could, you know, imagine a base that has way more trains, and maybe braking force would help that base a little bit more. But it's a pretty good indicator that braking force isn't doing much when this is what we get as our result. Like 10,000% braking force did not measurably decrease our train utilization. 10,000%. So what do you think 25% is going to do for you? Even on a base where you're taking better advantage of braking force, I don't think it's going to matter much. It would require you to have almost the perfect storm for braking force to ever even matter. And even in that context, I don't think it will matter very much. Because most of the time, and this is exactly what my napkin math plus actual math mixed together in a unholy amalgam showed, is most of the time your trains are not doing anything that braking force would help. So again, even if braking force was instant, it doesn't change that much. If a train is going full speed through an intersection, braking force doesn't change how long it's blocking that intersection. It only helps the train that's slowing down to be able to keep at full speed for a little bit longer, which means that it then will clear the intersection a tiny fraction of a second faster, which means that then it gets to here a fraction of a second faster, but then it starts braking a fraction of a second later on top of that. And now you've got 2 fractions of a second. Wow. Boom, 2 fractions of a second. On a 40-second train delivery, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't really matter. Like, even if braking goes to 0, you maybe saved 1 second on a 40-second train delivery. So the problem is, it's really hard to ever have a real base where your trains are spending a lot of their time braking. And those are the only times where braking force is going to ever give you an appreciable boost. And when I say appreciable boost, I mean like all 7 braking force upgrades combined would give you an appreciable boost. Braking force of 25%? That's never even going to come close to mattering. It could also matter. I add one more thing, which is like unlikely, but it's always possible. You could have a mod where the braking force numbers are really weird. Like trains have terrible brakes, you know, as it is. And then then the braking force upgrades would matter more. But if the mods are balanced in any reasonable percentage of braking force to top speed upgrades, then yeah, it's not going to matter. So like when trains are going faster though is when it's going to matter, because the faster the train is going, the sooner it has to start braking. Braking is linear, whereas distance traveled, you know, when you're going at a certain speed, is quadratic. And so if you double your speed, you more than double the braking time. No, that's not true. Sorry. If you double your speed, you double your braking time. That is exactly correct. Air resistance is ignored when you're braking. Ask me how I know that. Acceleration is kind of bad for your trains. Trig, I would say not really. The acceleration's decent, and acceleration being instant is another situation where like how much does it actually help your trains. Acceleration's far more important than braking force, but it's still not bad. Like, you know, it's up to 150 in that distance already. And if acceleration is better, that actually makes braking force, I think, even less useful. Do the new train saver mod. Yes, good point. Man, opening that recipe selector is Lagtown, USA. But anyway, so what I was getting at is if the speed is higher, the trains are going to need 4 times as much distance, I think. Isn't that how it works? So the deceleration is a constant, which means the speed over time is a line down, which means the integral is, I think that's right. So all that to say, when your top speed is way higher, braking force may have a bigger impact as well, because at that point you're cutting off more distance from where your trains are like starting to slow down. But even then, I'm not totally convinced of that argument, because it's still only the same amount of time. Like if your trains are going twice as fast, to come to a complete stop, they still only take twice as long to come to a complete stop. They do need more distance for that. They need more than twice as much distance, but it is still only twice as much time. And if my main argument for braking force sucking is that trains don't spend a large fraction of their time braking in the first place, so making it instant doesn't save them that much time, if that's my main argument, doubling the amount of time they spend braking still only doubles the amount of time you save when you upgrade braking. I don't know, man. I can't get convinced that braking force is ever gonna help. Like, it almost feels like a challenge. Like, how would you even make a train network? How would you even set it up even in a lab environment where braking force is actually going to help you a lot? It's almost impossible. It's got to be modded trains with low braking power naturally, plus lots of train weight. I forget if weight helps or hinders braking, but whichever direction makes it worse. Plus lots of top speed, plus really bad acceleration. Because bad acceleration is important to note for the moments where you're... Because there's only 3 instances where braking helps you. Only 3. It's when you get to your destination. It's when you it's when you get to your loading destination, and it's when you get to your unloading destination. So that's 2 spots where it helps you. The only other time it helps you is when you're approaching an intersection and have to slow down, but don't come to a complete stop. Those are the only times where braking along your journey where braking force helps. Because if you came to a complete stop anyway, braking force being higher wouldn't have changed anything there. So all that to say, if your trains are a much further braking distance ahead of them and their acceleration is worse, that's the thing I was in the middle of saying. If acceleration is worse, then having to re-accelerate and get, like, let's say if braking force was better, you maintained 20 more kilometers an hour through an intersection, like you had to slow down, but you only had to slow down to 150 instead of slowing down to 130, then that means you're already at 150, which maybe helps a lot because accelerating from 130 to 150 would have taken a while. So as acceleration gets worse, braking force becomes more important, which is unfortunate because in most mod packs, including Space Age itself, you know, the vanilla game, you get a lot of acceleration for trains, and that makes braking force worse. The more acceleration you have, the more braking force doesn't matter, and it only adds a little bit of that time on the end. Because if acceleration is instant, then it doesn't matter if your train comes to a complete stop or not before the intersection. It doesn't matter how slow it got, even in a situation like what we just saw, because it's going to immediately be at full speed as soon as the intersection's cleared. So braking force has 0 impact as acceleration approaches infinity. That's actually really interesting. So you would need really bad accelerating trains, plus trains that have a bad natural braking power, and a very busy base. And if you combine all of that, you might see some upgrades from braking force. But it's just like, that's not very real. So maybe you have like 110 trains or something where like it's really slow to accelerate and you have crappy fuel in them and you have a lot of them. I don't know. It's tough. Because again, at some point, your base might get so busy that trains are coming to a complete stop more often than they're coming to a partial stop. In which case, braking force is back to not helping again. So there's even a weird, like, breakpoint almost, where I wonder if there's an optimal busyness for your base, where, like, if you're actually busier than that, braking force helps less. I don't know that. I'm 50-50 on that one. I don't know if that's true, but either way, I think I've fully, yeah, preschool. I've fully convinced myself that braking force just sucks. Hardcore sucks. Now, as a visual, like, I think it's fine to be in the game. I don't think they should remove it. I mean, I think they could remove it, and it wouldn't have too big of an impact, and it would probably make things simpler for new players. So in that sense, it's fine. I think it's a bit of a noob trap, for sure. It seems better than it is. That I'm 100% sure of. Because it sounds decent. You know, you're like, oh, my trains brake faster? Like, that'll make them, like, way better at, like, maneuvering, and, like, it'll make my traffic better. Like, no, it doesn't. That's not really true. But visually, it's kind of appealing. Like, if your trains are taking a long time to come to a complete stop, it is more appealing to see them, like, screech, you know, to a halt, like, right at the end. So, like, in that sense, I can see leaving it in just for, like, the visual appeal of being able to kind of get things where you want them visually. I think that can justify the existence of the researches. But yeah, I'm comfy with our proof here. So Harum, that's a really good question that I got into when I was doing all the math on graphs and stuff. Air resistance doesn't exist, which actually means that braking force can only help you. Sorry, air resistance does exist when you're accelerating trains and when you're maintaining speed. It doesn't exist when you're braking, when you're stopping. So when you're stopping your train, the game ignores air resistance for speed of calculation purposes. And because of that, thankfully, the braking distance lines, as you improve braking force, there's never a moment where you're worse off because you had a better braking force. There's never a moment in time when, like, if you had a worse braking force, you'd be in a better situation as that train. So thankfully, braking force is a positive. Whatever it is a positive. It's just, we've proven in this last 2.5 hours that it's a minuscule positive. So. Hiram, that's true, but braking force is not causing trains to compact more. It's actually causing them to compact sooner, which is a good thing, because then that means they can leave sooner if an opportunity to leave presents itself sooner. Trains are only ever further along their journey or going at a higher speed when you increase braking force. And that's one where I'm gonna, like, hand wave and just ask you to trust me. Like, I spent many hours doing math, talking to people on the Discord to see what the formulas were and all that. And I backed it up with my own testing in the editor. I tested a lot of braking distance things to make sure, like, my math was agreeing with what the test said. And I mean, I probably spent like 10 hours on it. I nerd sniped myself so hard. So braking force is a positive. It's just not a big positive. Braking force is only ever useful in Ultra Cube. Do they do something different? Because even there, I'm not really seeing how it helps you much. I mean, I guess the train getting there a fraction of a second faster is actually kind of important in Ultra Cube. So yeah, in that sense, I guess it helps. Because that's like 10 ticks sooner that your cube gets to where it's going, which does matter because you only get the one cube. So yeah, I guess even that one, even though it's so small, that one actually is useful. It's still not going to be massively useful because you're looking at a 10-second train delivery that's only delivered a couple ticks sooner, you know what I mean? And so it's like, in terms of percentage of downtime for cube, you're still only gaining 1% or whatever. But it is 1%, which when it's your whole base running off of that, you do care about that. Yeah, preschool, I do agree that it's kind of one of those situations where it seems like the idea is a lot better than the effect. The implementation is fine, but it's just like, what does this actually do for your trains? The answer is not much. With depots instead of dedicated trains, braking force should matter even more. Is that true? I would think the other, no, I think a vanilla train base is going to care about braking force more. Because trains are busier. There's more traffic. More traffic means more opportunities to have braking force benefit you. So I would think a CyberSyn situation, braking force matters slightly less than a vanilla situation. But again, all of this is within that tiny amount that braking force can ever help you. which is very little. All right, I think I'm happy with this result. Well, I don't know if happy is the right word. It sucks that breaking force sucks, but like I'm happy with what we've kind of proven. Wow. What a time. What a time to be alive. Can't believe breaking force sucks so much. I still kind of can't believe when we upgraded it by 10,000%, our utilization still was no different. That's still hilarious to me. Now, can we argue that that's a failed test? Maybe. How can I argue against my test? I can argue against my test by saying the faster deliveries delivered items to their destination sooner, which caused the outputs to be available sooner, which caused the need to pick up those items to happen sooner, which means the test actually needs to time how long it takes to back up all outputs, rather than, which some things are running constantly, so that'll never happen. But like theoretically, it's like when your base can handle more throughput than you're throwing at it, and you increase the supply, but then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why is my supply not backing up? I have more than I need. But it's just because you can process that into the further steps, and eventually once that backs up, then you see it settle into the steady state. So in that sense, it's possible that having the breaking force upgrades did improve things, but we didn't see the effect of it because we didn't get to the end of everything backing up. We would have to run it for 20 hours and see the results. Do I agree with that counterpoint that I just made to myself? Not really. Because my base isn't any faster. Which means the turnaround time on inputs should be about the same. I guess what we can test here, is there an acceleration bonus for trains? Does anybody know? Is there a bonus I can apply to trains via console command? Ideally max speed and acceleration? Or no? Because this would be able to counterpoint my theoretical counterpoint. Because what I could do is I could give the trains basically infinite speed and infinite acceleration and infinite braking force. And then they would deliver things basically immediately. And we would look at the utilization for that. And if that utilization is lower, that would prove the braking force didn't help, but acceleration and speed does. And that would be a useful metric to disprove that the issue was like with weird timing on the base. So I guess for that, I would have to change the game files to give these guys higher speed and acceleration, which we can do. It'll take us like 10 seconds. All right, let's do it. Why not? It'll take 5 minutes. I do have to modify the game files though, so we're gonna have a black screen for a second here. So I go into Factorio, I go into mods, I go into pYanodon's. Shoot. Does anybody know which mod adds the tier 2 trains? The locomotives, specifically. Because I don't know which mod does that. It's probably coal processing. It could be industry. I'm going to start with coal processing. Wait, do I not have 7-zip? What happened to 7-zip? I do. It's just not defaulting to opening zips with that. That's really weird. Okay, you think it's industry. I will start there. I'm gonna make a copy first, just in case I don't know how to change it back. All right, so pYindustry 3.0. Here, have something to look at, everybody. Look at these ridiculous numbers. I know, but I'm not in the game anymore, John. I thought of it after I closed the game. That's the problem. All right, Pi Industry, 7-zip. Chat GPT says Pi doesn't add any locomotives, and that, folks, is why we don't Chat GPT. Oh, it is coal processing. I was right. All right. Open archive. Prototypes. Is that gonna be under? What would that be under prototypes? Is it buildings or items? It's not items. I don't think it's buildings. Technologies? Is it not prototypes? I'm just trying to find the file that has the locomotives in it. And I'm actually struggling to do that. You'd think it'd be easier. There's like a lot of files that don't seem to be in here. There should be like thousands of files. I'm only seeing like dozens. Do I need to unzip it? Is 7-zip not good at looking inside of zips? Oh, maybe it's just in data .lua. If anyone else wants to speed find this with me, feel free. Open. It's not. I don't think it's just in data. Data final fixes? No, it doesn't look like it's in there. I feel like I'm missing something. Melon, where are you at? You still here? I need you. Where would this be? It's gotta be in here somewhere. Melon, I'm trying to change the train speed and acceleration in the mod files just to crazy numbers for sake of testing, and I can't find the file. Where's the file for that? Like, which Lua file do I modify? I can't seem to find it. And it feels like I'm not finding where a lot of the definitions are. Because I'm in the coal processing archive, and it's like, I feel like there should be a spot with like hundreds of prototypes. And I'm not finding that. I only see a few dozen in the buildings and like a couple dozen in fluids. Technologies, tiles, updates. Would it be entity updates? It is industry? Oh, we're getting all sorts of high industry. Open. Prototypes. Still don't know which category it's in there. Is it equipment? Buildings? Oh yeah, there it is. Mark II locomotive. Got it. Got it. All right, so the current, what do we got? Max power is 900 kilowatts. Should we just change that to gigawatts? Nice, easy. Oh wait, no, that would be bad. That would consume more fuel. Oh shoot, I need to change the acceleration bonus of the fuel, because this is going to cause it to just consume. The train itself doesn't have acceleration bonus. That's really annoying. I can set the max speed to be 100 times faster, which is probably going to like break something, but it's fine. But I don't think do you guys know, is there an extra line I can add to make acceleration on trains just faster from the train side of things? I might not be able to. I'm gonna guess that I can't. Okay, well, let's save that. Update it in the archive. And now I need to go find the fuel. I'm using tall oil canisters. Does anybody have Pi open? Can you tell me where tall oil canisters are? Heck, it actually might be industry as well, if I'm lucky. 100 will make, okay, 100's too much. What's a good number then? Like max speed, if we want it to be like, what, like 1500 kilometers an hour? Is that fine? Be like 5 times faster or 6 times faster? So it was 1.3, so maybe I change it to like 8. Let's try that. That's like 5 times faster. What am I doing? Oh yeah, where's the fuel? Tall oil canister is what I need. That might be in petroleum handling. Not really sure. Pi high tech, but you were wrong last time. We'll look around. Prototypes, items. Is it in items? I actually don't know where I would find this. The other problem that I'm a little worried about is... yeah, exactly. Yep, John, that's exactly what I was worried about. I think the canisters are all procedural. So... crap, how do we fix this? I can't increase the amount of fuel in the canister unless I know where that procedural generation is and what it sets the fuel value of a canister to. Oh, thank you. Oh, wait, you deleted it. What mod are we looking in, Melon? Because if I can just increase the final amount of fuel that the canisters themselves have, regardless, it's fine if I would need more to make them, but if I could just make the canisters have like gigajoules instead of megajoules, then I could increase the power of the locomotive and it would still be fine. I can always just settle for increasing the power of the locomotive and they'll just use more fuel a lot faster, but then they'll take more trips to refuel, so that's not the best comparison. Yeah, I would change all canisters if I knew where to find that file. Over 10 minutes. Well, yeah, we do need to increase the acceleration. And the problem is if we don't increase the fuel value, they are going to probably have to refuel after like 2 seconds because they're going to use the fuel 10 times as fast. So they'll refuel more than, well, I don't actually know. They'll refuel more often in 10 minutes, which would keep our utilization actually the same. Or at least close to the same. But trains burn fuel when they're at max speed as well. I don't think they burn less fuel at max speed. This test is flawed in a couple ways, but we're gonna go through with it anyway. In Pi coal processing? Where in Pi coal processing? There's a lot of files in there. I don't even know which category I'm looking in. Prototypes. There is just canister.lua. Those are gas canisters. Unfortunately. Here's a lot of other items. Empty fuel canister. Fuel canister. Nope, that's not it. Prototypes recipes? Fuel canister recipes. There it is. Canister. So there's like crafting with fluid, energy required 0.2. So that can stay the same. And there it is, 10 megajoules. All right, so we'll pump that up by 10. By 20. Yeah, but there was some percentage of time that they were refueling. And if that disappears, it'll look like my utilization is lower, but it's just because I changed the fuel. This is a little bit of a conundrum. I kind of have to napkin fuel. How much time are they spending consuming fuel versus not? Like if I multiply their acceleration by 10, they'll consume fuel 10 times as fast. But they're also going 5 times as fast. Maybe I should just multiply everything by 5. Is that reasonable? Because they'll consume less fuel because they're traveling for less time. So in fact, I actually don't know if I need to change the fuel value of canisters. I'm actually not going to. I'm going to leave it the same way, so they still do need to go refuel. And I'm going to go back and change the trains again to just have a higher acceleration. Because even though they are consuming more fuel while they're traveling for a shorter period of time. So if I increase their acceleration by roughly the same multiplier, I think overall they'll actually use about the same amount of fuel. So I'm going to go back to industry. We're almost there. We're going to load up the game in a second. We're going to go back to industry. pYanodon's industry. I would show you all this. It's not very interesting, but you could at least watch something. But I don't have it set up to show these windows. Okay. Prototypes. Where did I find it? Buildings? No. Equipment? No. Robots? Technologies? Where was this? I already forgot. Updates? I completely forgot where the trains were. Oh, it's just in buildings. Yeah, there it is. Hold on. We got it. Yeah, I could have said it on the item. It would have been there's no numbers to change there. And yeah, I mean, you guys posted what I would have needed to type, but it's too late now. Okay, so I multiplied the speed by 5. What is 1.3 times 5? That's really 6.5. So I really multiplied it by like 7 or 6. Yeah. So 900 times 6 is a number, 5,400. Let's go a little higher than that. Let's go to like 7,500. Yes. 6,500. Okay, we'll say 6,500 kilowatts for max power. And then braking force, I'll just multiply that by 100 naturally. Okay. So I won't need to do a bunch of upgrades. Okay, so I've modified Mark II locomotive.lua, and now we should be able to fire up the game. And now we will have not quite teleporting trains, but it'll be close. And we will run the same test. Come on, OBS. I fired up the game. Why you no show Factorio? Where is it? There it is. Okay. All right, what do we got? Pre-break test. Let's just look at the trains for a second, just for fun. They are indeed zippy boys. Oh man. It looks like the game is sped up. Oh wait, the game is sped up. Hold on. That's a lot of irony in what just happened. Alright, at normal speed, are they still zippy boys? Wait, what's going on? These aren't that much faster. I guess they're only 5 times as fast. Okay, that is pretty freaking fast. Okay, yeah, that's pretty fast. Oh, no, something's wrong. 324 is still their max speed. Okay, I thought that didn't look like 5 times faster. Wait, is there a train max speed that's different than a vehicle max speed? The heck? Why are they not going faster? I bet there is some weird number somewhere I have to change. Huh. Interesting. I would need a modder to tell me what to change for that. You can see in their description. Where is the description? Where does it say that? I don't think it's air resistance. That acceleration power is massive. If it was air resistance, they'd get further than 300 kilometers an hour. Because the power is working directly against the air resistance. So there's some sort of hard limit. There's a tingle in my brain that's like, oh yeah, there's like a train limit somewhere. Because like these are above that number as well. I wonder if these don't even go that fast. Like I feel like there's like a limit, like a law, like a game Factorio train limit somewhere that you have to change. And I think you can, but weird things can happen if you change it. Huh. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not forgetting the train equation. It just takes the power and it adds it to the current speed. Power divided by weight adds that to the current speed with some constants thrown in there. Or scalars, I should say. And then it subtracts air resistance as a multiplier of current speed. So like, we should be able to get going pretty dang fast with 6.5 megawatts of acceleration, but we're not actually going that fast. And I don't know how to change that. Where is that? Yeah, 20 minutes ago. It'll take 5 seconds. Exactly. The friction force? Oh, wagon speed. I didn't even stop to think if those had a max speed. Oh, they don't. Well, maybe they do. Maybe it's a hidden stat that you don't see it there, but it's there. Could be onto something. Max speed 1.5. There it is. There it is, right there. Perfect. All right, easy fix. This one actually is easy, and I know where to find it. All right, coal processing. Open. Why? It's still so weird to me. All right, there it is. Prototypes, buildings, Mark II. Wait, why did I do coal processing? Sorry, not coal processing. Industry. I should be a modder. Yeah, you should. All right, so prototypes, buildings, Mark II cargo wagon. Max speed is not 1.5, but rather 8. There we go. Save. Update in the archive. Escape, escape. Start up Factorio. Also fluid. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I guess we should do that too. All right, Factorio mods, pYindustry, prototypes, buildings, Mark II fluid wagon.lua, max speed from 1.5 to 8, save. Yes, update in the archive and try again. All right. This time for real, baby. You think they're gonna actually get to 1,700 kilometers an hour? That's approaching a kilometer a second. I mean, it's pretty close to half a kilometer per second, which is pretty close to teleportation, which could mean that they're gonna miss stations. I might have gone too high on this. That's crazy. Kilometer a second. That's so fast. What am I trying to achieve at this point? Just insanity. I mean, I don't even know. We are testing, like actually though, we are testing if trains moving a lot faster is going to decrease the utilization. If it does, then that supports my theory that braking force sucks. If the utilization doesn't go down on this version, it supports my counterpoint that the test is kind of flawed for a variety of reasons in the first place, and we didn't actually really prove braking force sucks. Even if that happens, I'm still convinced braking force sucks, but our proof wasn't really a proof of it. We just haven't proven it correctly yet. Anyway, we'll go down to X1 here, and then we should see trains going nuts. Yep, I would say they're going nuts. That is doing it. Yeah, that'll do it. All right, so we shall load the test and play the test and see what happens. I also fear this is such a different, because now they're getting there so much faster that by the time we get 8 minutes from now, our base is going to be in a completely different state. So I do fear a little bit that, like, this is going to be a pretty inconclusive test regardless. Also, this graph doesn't really feel like it's measuring 10 minutes. Because, like, look, it's moving, I don't know. It's moving way faster than it should be for 10 minutes. I'm guessing that's an 8x speed issue, actually. I wonder if this was never... Oh my god. Has this only been measuring 1.25 minutes this whole time? You know what? I bet it has. That's unfortunate. I think that's actually true. I didn't consider that. I think this is only updating based on some mixture of game ticks and real ticks. That means that we're not actually getting 10 minutes of game time measured here. So that means we haven't really been averaging out 10 minutes. That's unfortunate. However, utilization is way lower. Fluid's down to 37%. Like, it was never that low. It was always in the 60s, and cargo was in the 60s, in the mid 60s. So, at least so far, these numbers seem lower. I know they've fluctuated quite a lot. Like, we even got up to 90% at one point in the test on cargo. I am surprised that cargo is still at 64% though. That doesn't seem... Okay, there it's dropping. That's catching up sooner, maybe? Loading, unloading time is higher. Well, it's not higher. It's a higher percentage of their time is loading, unloading. But the loading time and unloading is the same. That's the floor. I don't know, you may have not been here. I was talking about the floor. There is a floor that, like, even if trains teleport, we're gonna have some percent of utilization. Oh, you mean compared to fluid? Yes, that is also true. So the floor for fluid is theoretically gonna be lower. Okay, yeah, these numbers are significantly better. You know, we were in the mid 60s for both, and now we're in the mid 40s. So I think that is kind of the nail in the coffin for me, that our test was sufficient to at least show that braking force upgrades don't do much for your base. Because if acceleration and speed does a lot for your base, braking force should do the same thing. Like, you're getting to your destination faster, right? That's what we're measuring with this utilization. And the counterpoint that I was conjecturing, which we didn't know if it was true or not, was that this test was bad, and that even if trains could get to their destination faster, it wouldn't show up in this number, because new deliveries would be generated and we'd end up staying at that percentage of utilization even if trains were going faster. But this test has now disproved that counterpoint. We've countered the counter. It does, in fact, have a smaller percentage after a 10-minute test of 36,000 ticks. Quite a lot smaller percentage, way smaller than any of our tests ever showed. Which means if braking force did improve trains a lot, it would have showed up in these numbers in a measurable way. And it did not, even when we had 10,000% braking force. QED. And don't at me for the improper use of QED. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break. Oh shoot, it's been 3 hours and 10 minutes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. I almost canceled the stream today because I've got some stuff going on in real life, and I was like, it just feels like too much to deal with. But I really wanted to do the stream, and that's why I did, because I was very excited about it. But unfortunately, I'm like, I can't do another hour, which means I can't do another whole episode, which is really a bummer. I might, and this is a very big might, I might do it later after I get back from my thing. But only if I'm feeling it, because I'm in a season of life where I really shouldn't push myself. But I do want to play more Pi right now. I just legitimately do not have the time in real life. And by the time I get back from my thing, at that point, I might not have the right kind of energy to stream. But if I do, I will stream again later. And when I say later, I'm thinking like 4 or 5 hours from now, later. So it's possible, but I would, if I had to give numbers, I'd say there's only about a 1/3 chance that it happens. It's probably more likely it doesn't happen because I'm gonna go do some stuff, you know, use up social energy, all that, get back, be tired, want to eat food, and at that point, I don't know if I'll be having the stream energy. We will play for a little bit here. I don't want to play for super long off video though. But yeah, so now I do need to get my game back to normal. So to do that, I will exit. And then I need to take a restroom break too. I will change Factorio mods, pYindustry. We will replace the file in the destination with the old one. Did I change the canisters? Does anybody remember? I think I ended up not. I didn't change any other py-mods, did I? I don't think so. All right, delete Cybersyn 2049, and that should be all we need to do. Fire the game back up. Oh, it feels so good to be vindicated. Breaking Force sucks. I've spent a combined total of probably 15 hours of my life proving it. And proving is still a weak sauce word. I would, in a very real sense, I didn't prove anything. But I think it's conclusive enough for players of Factorio that play the game in any approximation of a standard way that Breaking Force sucks. You need some, but the point is you don't need much. And so the upgrades don't change much. In the combinations of mods that we have, you know, again, if you designed a mod where trains were terrible at braking and terrible at accelerating, then yeah, Breaking Force is going to do more for you. But like, nobody makes those mods because that's not fun to play. So like, it's just not a very realistic, like, you know, you call that magical Christmas land in Magic the Gathering, when it's like, oh, this card's good because like if you have like 15 creatures and then you cast this card, you win the game. It's like, yeah, you won the game because you had 15 creatures. Like, that doesn't make the card good. You're just in magical Christmas land there. You know, turn 1 win because you drew the right combination of 6 cards out of your 60 card deck. Like, yeah, that is possible, but like it just doesn't happen. And I think it's the same with Breaking Force. I just don't really think it's feasible to really have any situations where Breaking Force is good. It is technically possible to construct such a scenario, but it's just not going to happen. Now, we did disconnect this rail, which Gravy mentioned, and I didn't fix. So we should fix that. I think it's been okay because trains have just turned left out of here, but that is a good point. So does that mean you won't research it? Trig, asking the real questions. After all of that, I'm probably still going to research it at some point. But I think I will wait, because this is not cheap enough for me to feel like it's worth it yet. See, this is... Look at this. This is... It's technically true, but this is misleading. This makes you think it's good. These words make you think this is a good upgrade. The Pokeball, as it looks like to me. Pokeball upgrade sucks. What we've proven. All of these put together will not even change your base. And the worst part is Pi, in specific for pYanodon's, you really don't need Breaking Force because the acceleration gets way better on trains. And so Breaking Force becomes less important. We didn't actually test that version of the metric. Like, we could give our trains terrible acceleration and then run the test again and see how that changes. But we'd have to run a baseline test and then an upgraded Breaking Force test because the baseline graph would be different. But overall, damn it, now I want to run that test. I'm not going to do it today. Maybe some other day I'll do it because I'm curious what that would look like. Because I almost want to try to make a test where Breaking Force does something. Like, I'm like, could that even work? Maybe it would. Maybe it would, man. Breaking Force sucks. Because trains just already have enough of it, is the reality. Like, they already have enough of it to match their acceleration. And so more of it doesn't do much for you. So I guess that's the bottom line, is like, if braking force is wildly out of proportion with acceleration, then it might become more useful to upgrade it. And that's about the best you can hope for. Now we are back to our old base, right? Like we don't have those weird pasted solar panels over here. Yeah, we're good. On that note, should I add more solar? How's our power doing? Oh yeah, look at all this extra free steam we've already built up. Beautiful. Fiberboard 2 research? No, it will get there eventually though. Poor guy. Poor guy. Alright, I guess rubber 3 is the next thing I was gonna do. Did we prepare for that? I don't even remember. Did we even make this in Hellmod? I don't think we did. I haven't even researched it yet. So I just need to make styrene? Or yeah, polybutadiene the one I already have. So I just need to add, oops, doing the wrong buttons here. I just need to add phenol, salt, and styrene. Okay, and we already have phenol and salt, so this is gonna be real easy. We just need to make styrene. I think we might be, oh no, that's propene. We're already making propene. I don't know if we're making styrene yet. No, we're not. So, styrene is probably got like 10-15 minutes here. Iron oxide, benzene, ethylene. Where are we making ethylene? Oops. That is the downside to the removing the map view border thing, is that you can't see what you're typing. Okay, so here's where we're making ethylene. Ooh, out of Nexalit and BTX. Is that? Ooh. Ethylene's not as cheap as I thought. There could be a day in which it's worth doing Yotoi, but that day is not today. Because we cannot make Yotoi that fast. So yeah, for now it's just the Nexalit and BTX to make ethylene. No, what am I? Oh my gosh! Wait, really? Did I wonder if this is what happened before. I wonder if I looked at these and thought these are the only ways to make ethylene, and I missed this being just the default sitting here in front of me. Maybe I should switch my recipe book view. Rygaard would have a giggle if he saw what just happened. I like somehow missed that there's this version of ethylene, or I ignored it before because of iron oxide. Maybe I ignored it because of iron oxide, but I definitely should do it this version, not the other version. Which means I now need to ship iron oxide in here. 67. Okay, we're gonna move these down a couple. And then we're gonna ship in iron oxide. Whatever the case, we have plenty of iron oxide now, so I'm not gonna worry about that. And then we get rid of these. And then we don't need the Nexalit anymore. And then at least one use for BTX. Yeah, well, and we're removing it. And now I need methane. So methane, that's not a requester. That's why there's no requests. This was using BTX, so I think I delete that one because I don't think it went anywhere else. Yeah. Poor BTX. Yeah, I do almost feel bad for it. You are not BTX anymore. Nothing. I use it for fluid fuel. It's a good fluid fuel. It's a good boy. You know, I really should have deleted the train request before I deleted the methane or the BTX itself, because I'm betting you that there is now BTX on the way here that we're also going to delete. Yeah. There's the methane one, and oh yeah, no, he's already here. Yep, there he is. Well, all right, one more BTX for the road. Wow, that was like instant. I didn't even have time to click out of the menu before it was done emptying the train. Like his brother, Tall Oil. Tall Oil is at least a little bit more useful, I feel like. It goes in a couple things. I guess BTX goes in a couple things too, technically. You're right, they're about the same level of usefulness now that I think about it that way. Still don't know why I didn't do this version earlier. I'm a little like scared of like, did I screw something up? Did I forget something? Like, what's going on here? I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on. These can be shifted over. I'm just gonna delete all that. I don't think that Steam went anywhere. It was just attached to that. We do need the silver, I almost called it the Netflix instead of Nexalit. What does that say about my brain? I don't know. I'm not happy about it. The Netflix. It's 3 hours of braking force research for you. I actually don't know where we're going. Oh, I found it. On up here. And yeah, so we'll get this set up and then we'll probably call it a stream there. I am bummed we're not getting to do a full episode of progress. I am happy about what we spent our time doing though. It just isn't quite what I thought. I thought we'd be able to figure out that braking force stuff a lot faster, but I ran into a lot of, and this is the scientific method for you, right? Like I ran into a lot of reasonable doubts that I had about my process. And so the only way to make sure you're doing things the right way is to address those doubts. And we had to address those doubts, and we did. So, you know, overall it was a very, like, correct and proper procedure. We still didn't address every possible doubt, but I addressed all the main ones that I had about the situation. Science does indeed work. But it does also take time, which is what happened to us. The other thing I'm still sort of surprised by, and no one has answered yet, by the way. Oh, I'm a little out of frame, sitting up straight. No one has answered why we were not deterministic. And it could be because of how, you know, the exactsies of how the CyberSyn graphing was going. It could be because there is some non-deterministic stuff going on. I don't know. No one was able to answer that, to my knowledge. So that's still a burning question. All right, so that's ethylene step 1. Then we need the methane, which is right here, and that should do it. All right, and yet another reason this is better is because we can productivity it as well. So yeah, this is just, now the BTX one might have been faster. What was the speed on that one? The speed on this one is 25 a second by default, and this is only 10 a second. So there is that. There is that. But I don't really think that's a great reason because we have beacons now. So the game, beacons do really change the game, and I'm not always sure it's for the better. They really do trivialize a lot of things in a way that I don't know if I always like it. That's 78 a second. How much ethylene have I been using over the course of 50 hours? Actually a decent amount, 400 a minute. Oh, that's just because we're using ethylene glycol, though. Or at least most of that's because of ethylene glycol, right? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So the amount we would use for rubber is, I guess, what I'm wondering now. So rubber, we've used about a little under 2 a second. And the new recipe for that, 2 a second, would run you 10 styrene a second, which is like nothing. Which is 10 ethylene a second. This even does prod, I think. No, it doesn't. So it is actually 10 ethylene a second, but that's very little. But yeah, the actual amount we need here is a decent amount. So that might have been why I didn't do this version, because when I only had tier 1 buildings, I would have needed, you know, a lot of these to match this speed. So maybe that was it. Maybe I was like, I don't want to build 15 gasifiers. I don't know. But we're just going to do like a 4-2 here and call that 100 a second good enough. For now. I can always upgrade that later. Or, heck, even add like a 2-1. For a little bit more. That gets me up to 124. Yeah, that feels like enough. And that's only 1 megawatt. A 2-1 beacon is a very good mixture of like, it's still basically free in terms of power usage, but it's giving a decent amount of speed. You know, it's adding, what is that, 16% speed to buildings? It's really not bad for what is almost 0 power. Really, the cost there is the beacon and the speed modules. Next podcast topic, determinism. I don't know if I'll tackle that one. So yeah, now we need to make styrene, which is easy and also requires iron oxide and steam, which I already set up. So this is a very easy, like, piggyback situation. Is this one of those annoying things where I need 3 sides of the building? Yes, it is, as far as I can tell. Okay. Gravy! Oh, by the way, Gravy, I did just fix that missing train track that you pointed out a little bit ago. It didn't really matter because the trains could turn left going out of there, but it certainly it was wrong, and it was missing that train piece. Let's see. So we'll do this guy for the benzene. I don't think I have benzene here yet, though it feels like we would already. There's lots of weird fluids here. So we're unfortunately gonna need, oh wait, no, steam was coming from trains? Oh, perfect. Okay, hold on, we can make this better. I don't even know where to put it. Up here, maybe? All right. So that's it for steam. I still don't really know if I like wasting efficiency modules. It just feels, I don't know, feels wasteful. But that is a lot of power. I don't know. Okay, so then the steam, we'll do that. This can now be not steam. And don't request water, because that's what steam is in my world. And then instead, we don't translate that anymore. And we do hook up... Wait, these were never hooked up. What is hooked up? Oh, it's the power. And then now I'm requesting... What did we just need? Benzene. Benzene. Alright, so benzene. Just request all of it, and it's cheap fluid. And now come over and down. That's running in the way of that. Instead, maybe I'll go on this end. Okay, not there, but here. That's not bending. Okay. There we go. So that'll hook up the benzene, and then I've already got the steam, and then the ethylene. Oh, I didn't even hook up the... Oh, there's 2 outputs here. Wow, I really goofed this up, didn't I? Okay. A sinkhole that. Beep, boop. Beep. Beep, boop. Alright. Now those are running, and they're not connected yet, though, to the input of this. Which they should be. Like this. Okay. And then the input goes here. And now we just bring down the old iron oxide, and that should do it. Perfect. Now it's not researched yet, styrene, but when we do rubber 3, it will be good to go. And that's 50 a second on each. I don't think we're going to need more than 200 a second. And then as far as providing goes, we've got a bunch of requests here. And I might have an empty spot in here. Yeah, perfect. So you'll be styrene. Which connects on that side, so I guess we're gonna have to make a new connection here. Maybe right here goes across. Okay, so this is the styrene. Oh man, there's just so many fluids. What if I go right and then down? Yeah, this looks good. Okay, so this is the styrene. To here. You know what? I might just do this. A little weird, but whatever. Okay, so styrene is done. And then I'll get rubber 3 when we need it. Okay, I do think, unfortunately, I need to call it a stream. This was a blast to test all that train braking stuff. I feel like we did a pretty good job of answering a lot of the questions. I certainly was expecting it to help more than it did. It helped even less than I thought it would. And I already thought it would help. Well, I guess maybe not. I expected it to be less than 1%, and our numbers didn't prove that it's less than 1%, but they also certainly proved it's not a bunch of percent. Because even when we gave it 10,000% braking force, it still didn't give us a significant boost that was obvious and measurable. So, I certainly think that does the trick on making me not like braking force very much. And yeah, we'll definitely be continuing our episodes as normal this week, and I hope to do another stream before 500 hours. My free time's a little weird these days, so I might not be able to. But yeah, it's fun to hang out and play Pi, so I hope to get back to this sooner than that. And like I said, there's a chance I continue this tonight. But don't get your hopes up. Yeah, I think we'll call it there. I don't want to do too much off screen for all the YouTubians. Yeah, thanks Solid Gold. Thanks for hanging out. It was a good time. We did a lot of science in this episode and less pYanodon's. You like the new splitter? Yeah, I do too. It's also visually appealing to have the red belts and the yellow belts on the same one. I think that's probably going to trigger some people, but I think it looks kind of cool. The Vrouk sushi. Oh my gosh. I haven't measured that sushi belt in a while to see whether it's working or not. Oh, the hours we spent on that build. Good times, good times. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all next time. Hit me up on Discord if you want to keep chatting.